So I've done it both ways, right? I've got an attorney now because I grew into the decision of affording that attorney. But when I first started, I was broke. I was 21 years old. I didn't have extra money to be throwing at a lawyer to help me structure things. And I went out there and just started registering everything I could. I literally registered 5 different entities in about 20 or 30 minutes, and I botched it, right? Down the road, it literally required years of untangling because my bright idea was I want everything to have the acronym of VIP. So I had Visionary Investment Planning, VIP Enterprises, LLC. I also had VIP Enterprises, Inc. You start creating all of these companies that are similar in some way, and it didn't take long before my tax preparer included the wrong EIN with the wrong return, and next thing you know, if you want to go back and unscramble the IRS, you're in for a real treat. It is a mess. So had I just done things the right way from the start, I would have never dealt with any of that. And I do encourage people to understand that this is a necessity. Whether you want to hire somebody or not, you need to be doing this. This is an absolute necessity if you're serious about taking on any type of business operations whatsoever. If you want the best tax plan that you can get, if you don't want unnecessary exposure to the litigious nature of people, if you want to get into long-term landlording and have a tenant, guess what? That tenant can sue you. You better CYA. And with that in mind, do you want it done the right way, or do you want to sort of float through this thing taking a best guess? The choice is yours. Hey everybody, welcome to the VIP Financial Education YouTube channel. Got a very, very special guest for you guys here today. A subject that doesn't get discussed on this channel nearly enough is that of asset protection and having proper structures in place in order to make sure that you're participating the right way when you're going into business, when you're making investments, if you're getting involved in real estate. And recently we've had a tremendous amount of response surrounding the Maven passive real estate fix and flip opportunities that have been introduced to our channel. We've been researching it now for almost an entire year. Brought it to you guys just a couple short months ago, and it has received a completely unexpected result, which is dozens and dozens of people on the waiting list. Now, the cool thing about that waiting list is it's still first come, first serve. So as long as you're on the waiting list, every time a great property comes up that Maven is introducing to the audience, people who are on that waiting list are going to have first crack at it. And as long as you get back a letter of intent and you get your deposit in to practice as a lender on that property, you can potentially get involved with some unbelievable returns. I'm going to leave some links in the description for you below so you can check that out. I recently put $100,000 of capital that I had available from a home equity line of credit into one of those deals. And on that deal alone, I'm expecting a 39% return on my money over the course of a projected 6-month timeline, which annualizes out to 78% ROI. Now, I'm paying 8.25% for that money in order to borrow it. So over the course of a year, I'm still netting roughly 70% if everything goes as well as we hope it does. So that is outstanding. If that's something you guys want to get involved with, make sure you check the videos below and then email prefer@vipfinancialeducation.com with a first name, last name, and contact phone number, and you can see if it's something that you want to get going with. Now, one of the participants in that recipe is Abby Broyles with LegalSphere. And Abby is the mastermind behind making sure that people that participate with that formula, along with any other type of business that they might be doing, if you don't want to participate in passive fix and flips, you still might need her for the other ventures and activities that you're doing. One of the worst things you can do is leave yourself exposed. So we're going to talk a little bit about that on today's short video. Abby, thank you so much for coming on and sharing a little more about your services.
Yeah. Hey, Matthew, it's great to see you guys, and hi to everybody on the channel.
Thank you. So I was quick to mention that you're not the first person that specializes in these services that we've brought on the channel. Had a ton of great feedback surrounding the topic in the past, and the problem we were running into was the performance of the individuals that we brought in. Extremely knowledgeable, sort of genius level at their craft, but just their approach, just not too subtle, right? Really aggressive, overselling things. I think sort of almost even getting frustrated with people when they didn't actually sign up for something. And we, first and foremost, absolutely love your demeanor. Okay, so I just want to share that compliment that your approach to this suits our dynamic here on the channel so much better than anyone else that's done this before. But I just think overall you're more qualified, because a lot of those companies that came on were so large that they were kind of handing people off, and you weren't really talking to the expert. And in your case, you are providing direct access to people that come in from the channel, where they can have conversations about a customized, sort of custom built structure that suits all their needs, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about a big law firm, it's hard to get in touch with somebody. That's literally what I hear on almost every single consultation we have, because I actually handle all those initial consultations. You're not going to talk to someone who's running an answering service or an intern or anybody who's not a lawyer. You're always going to be talking to an attorney when you're talking with us. We keep our practice boutique for a reason, because we want to be working with customers, not just for one transaction. We want clients to work with us for years. We want to help them reach their short-term and long-term goals. So right off the bat in that initial consultation, we're talking about what can we get done now for you? How can we get you structured? And let's start looking at your portfolio as a whole. You're not going to get that from a lot of law firms who are going to say, well, this is our hourly rate, we'll bill you for what we do. We come with a holistic approach to say, how can we best set you up to be successful, especially for some of these new investors who jump right in and their eyes are wide open and really don't know what to expect. The very first step is setting up that limited liability company, and that's the very first thing that we do with our clients.
And what really is the benefit if, let's say, I'm getting involved in real estate investing, right? So I'm investing $100,000 that I used from a HELOC into one of these passive fix and flip deals. In my understanding, I kind of created a short list of benefits that I'm aware of, and I wanted to see whether or not you think I got them all. Really, the first is protecting my assets, right? If I've got a variety of assets, I don't want all of those exposed in the event of anything happening that could cause somebody to want to take me to court and sue me, right? The other big benefit for me, of course, is tax benefits. I'm obviously looking at saving as much as I can on my tax consequences at the end of every year. So having proper structures allows me to do that as well. I know that with an EIN, I'm able to go out and build business credit, so I can start to establish additional borrowing sources, get access to more money. If I can go out and access another $100,000 and invest it into a new project moving forward for 39% returns, which not all the projects are 39%. I want to make that very clear. Sometimes they're 20% over 6 months. Maybe it's 40% over 6 months. They can be better or worse than what I'm getting involved with. Every one of them is totally different. But I certainly want to make sure that I can access capital and leverage other people's money if I'm able to generate more money with that than it costs me to use it. Ultimately, those would be what I would consider the three primary benefits of proper structuring. Is that a fair understanding, or am I missing something in terms of the benefits of doing this?
Yeah, no, that's a great understanding of what you're doing. And, we live in a highly litigious society, and it just so happens that one of the most prevalent areas of litigation in the United States is real estate, and for good reason, because there's a lot of money involved. That LLC reduces your personal liability. It also comes with some great tax deductions like we talked about. And I'll just use that same example, the deal that you're in on Greenside with Maven, 39% cash on cash return. I think you did 100,000, Matthew. Let's say someone does not have an LLC. They're just doing this as a sole proprietorship. They invested $100,000 in Greenside. They're going to get that 39% cash on cash return. That's called a 39,000 paid interest after 6 months. That's what's great about those deals, is they turn around quickly. So that person's going to pay taxes on that full $39,000 paid interest because they didn't have an LLC. Someone who's structured properly, and what we do is setting folks up with that limited liability company so that, yes, they're getting that same $39,000 paid interest after 6 months, but we are able to look at their tax deductions. There are several that come to mind, the most common ones. You've mentioned a couple of them, but you're able to write off your attorney fees and your accounting fees. We look at this as a team. You need on your team a great lawyer and a great tax preparer. You can write off all those fees. You can write off the bank service fees on your LLC bank account. Those average 15 to 20 bucks a month. other, fees come into play if you have other things attached to that account, online banking, that sort of thing. You can also write off business entertainment expenses. Now, don't go crazy with this one, guys, but if you're taking, let's say, 4 of your friends out to dinner because you're wanting to talk about a passive real estate transaction, maybe you're going to look at an arbitrage situation. Some of our clients that we had on, Joy and Christian Gilbert, that's exactly what they were doing with their very second deal, was doing this cool arbitrage arrangement. Let's say you're going out to dinner. You can write off 50% of those dinners as long as the purpose of those conversations is to bring in revenue. That's the language from the IRS. So 50% deductible throughout the year. So keeping track of all of those expenses. The fourth most common one that we see is writing off your home office. So usually we do that by square footage. But if you do those 4 things, on average, if you are getting that $39,000 in paid interest, you're going to be able to write off 25% of that profit. And that's just such a huge difference. So if you're not set up with an LLC, you are losing out on thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars in tax savings every year.
Absolutely, right? So I guess contrary to what my point was in terms of doing this, and it's a bit of an insurance policy, there is immediate benefit to it regardless of things working perfectly throughout. Even if you never end up with some liability of some kind, you're still benefiting monetarily right out of the gate, which covers your costs of services, especially given the fact that the costs behind your services are tax deductible as well. So I've done it both ways, right? I've got an attorney now because I grew into the decision of affording that attorney. But when I first started, I was broke. I was 21 years old. I didn't have extra money to be throwing at a lawyer to help me structure things. And I went out there and just started registering everything I could. I literally registered 5 different entities in about 20 or 30 minutes, and I botched it, right? Down the road, it literally required years of untangling because my bright idea was I want everything to have the acronym of VIP. So I had Visionary Investment Planning, VIP Enterprises, LLC. I also had VIP Enterprises, Inc. You start creating all of these companies that are similar in some way, and it didn't take long before my tax preparer included the wrong EIN with the wrong return, and next thing you know, if you want to go back and unscramble the IRS, you're in for a real treat. It is a mess. So had I just done things the right way from the start, I would have never dealt with any of that. And I do encourage people to understand that this is a necessity. Whether you want to hire somebody or not, you need to be doing this. This is an absolute necessity if you're serious about taking on any type of business operations whatsoever. If you want the best tax plan that you can get, if you don't want unnecessary exposure to the litigious nature of people, if you want to get into long-term landlording and have a tenant, guess what? That tenant can sue you. You better CYA. And with that in mind, do you want it done the right way, or do you want to sort of float through this thing taking a best guess? The choice is yours. But I will say that services like yours, Abby, are way, way, way worth more than what they cost people like me to participate in them. So I couldn't be more grateful for having a solid team like this, having the great tax experts, having people like you in my corner that are dealing with the legal side, having a team that's dealing with the fix and flip side for me so that I can sit back and trust that things are in order if anything were to go wrong. It is a tremendous amount of peace of mind. So if people are interested in reaching out and getting more questions answered from you, we've set up a custom email address for you at structure@vipfinancialeducation.com. I'm going to leave that in the description below for you. Guys, we're going to bring Abby on periodically to discuss various talking points surrounding this, experiences with it, examples that it might apply to, so that you guys can continue to get more and more information. But for today's video, I wanted to try and keep it brief so that we can at least get to know your face, get to know your services. This is LegalSphere with Abby Broyles, and she has been a fantastic addition to our network, and a friend of the channel here. So we're very excited to have you on board and help guide people. If you guys are interested, again, it's a completely free consultation. No hard sale pitch involved. At least get an understanding of where you're at, what some of your goals are, in order to determine if you are set up the right way, or if you maybe do need some additional layers of protection in place That's where you're going to start. Email structure at vipfinancialeducation.com. First name, last name, phone number inside the body of the email, structure in the subject line of the email, and we'll make sure we get you guys connected and you'll have a conversation with this lovely young lady directly. So thank you, Abby, so much for coming on and at least briefly explaining a little bit about what you're up to here and how it's impacting some of these lenders on the Maven projects as well. It's really fantastic.
Yeah, thanks, Matthew. Thanks for having me. And yeah, it's great to be able to work with your clients. They come eager and excited, and that's the kind of client we want to work with.
We may not have the biggest audience, but we do have the best. They are truly a fantastic demographic of financially capable and generally very fiscally responsible folks, and it's always been a pleasure year after year after year. So for those of you that do take advantage of this, you won't be sorry. And I'm standing behind Abby and putting my name next to her, so you can trust you're going to get a terrific experience. And if not, please do let us know directly. We hold everybody accountable that's welcome here on the channel. So we'll be watching, Abby. We'll be watching. All right, guys, we do really appreciate all of you guys for joining today. Thank you so much, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next video. Until then, make it a great day and keep on cash flowing. Take care.